We'll hear from local health officials about COVID-19 variants and if they've shown up in the area.
Infrastructure and voting rights are in focus this week from the White House to Capitol Hill. I'm Natalie Brand with why two of the president's priorities are facing hurdles in Congress.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
COVID-19 variants are popping up across southwest Missouri and rural parts of Kansas. This is KOAM News at 5. I'm Chris Warner. Dow has the evening off. In Newton County, the UK and Delta variant have shown up in the area's sewage system. Newton County Health Department says that there have been 2 confirmed cases of the Delta variant in the county.
There have been testing of the wastewater sewage system, and they have found some of the variants in the watershed, the sewer water, and so don't know if that means that there's going to be an uptick in those particular variants. It just really shows us that COVID is here in all of its forms.
The health department added that the COVID-19 vaccine is effective against these new variants and urges anyone to get vaccinated if they haven't already. Incoming Pitt State freshmen got acquainted with the campus today. The university today hosted freshman orientation. About 100 students showed up for information on college living, meals, chapter houses, the health center, and a number of other topics. The students also officially received their Pitt State IDs and rang the campus bell. Officials say it is a great way to introduce students to PSU.
I think an orientation is an incredibly important part of the college transition experience. We want all of our students to be on the same page, and this really helps to accomplish that goal. So we're all coming in with the same amount of information, and we're starting together with the same knowledge.
More students will be on campus tomorrow for their orientation. Another hot one across the 4 states. Nick Kelly's here with the latest forecast. Nick.
But thankfully, with our last storm system that plowed on through today, Chris, plentiful rain chances and a much needed break from the heat. We're still looking great now from 7th and Range Line from the east side of Joplin. After that morning round of rain and thunderstorms, thankfully nothing severe. We are about as dry as can be, with mostly sunny skies returning and taking us through the rest of the evening ahead of us. As far as temperatures go right now, we're not too terrible, really. We're in the mid-70s at the top of the 5 o'clock hour. And as far as the rest of the evening is concerned, once we get past sunset, temperatures will drop quickly because of drier air working in. We'll start in the mid-70s this evening, down to 61 by midnight. Ultimately, though, down into the lower to middle 50s, so a chilly night ahead of us. We'll see if we can keep this nice weather going as we take a look at the extended forecast in a little bit.
All right, Nick, thank you. Topping Nation Watch tonight, extreme weather has left death and destruction in parts of the country. Tornadoes splintered homes outside of Chicago. Also, Claudette regaining tropical storm strength as it descended on the Carolina coast after killing 14 people in Alabama. And in Louisiana, police made multiple rescues when flooding swamped as many as 50 cars. The White House continues to battle Congress over the president's legislative priorities, including a $1 trillion infrastructure plan and a voting rights bill. Reporter Natalie Brand has more details from the White House.
President Biden is launching a new round of negotiations over a new infrastructure proposal, with lawmakers expected at the White House this week.
We need a few more details about the deal and about the proposal, including specifics about how to pay for it. An idea that's been floating around there that certainly the president would not support is a gas tax, which would raise taxes on people making less than $400,000 a year.
The latest bipartisan compromise plan comes in at about $1.2 trillion and has the backing of more than 20 senators.
President Biden, if you want an infrastructure deal of $1 trillion, it's there for the taking. You just need to get involved and lead.
But some progressives say the compromise doesn't go far enough.
When we deal with climate, when we deal with infrastructure, when we deal with home health care, when we deal with child care, we can create millions of good paying jobs.
Another big issue in focus this week, voting rights. The Senate is poised to bring legislation to the floor as early as Tuesday, but it's unlikely to get very far.
It's a federal takeover of our election system.
I wouldn't say we expect there to be 10 magical votes to appear from the Republicans in the Senate.
While the president's legislative agenda faces congressional gridlock, today the White House is promoting a new benefit that has already passed, the expanded child tax credit.
It is $3,000 per child. And for children who are 6 years old and under, it is now $3,600 per child.
Monthly payments will start going out in mid-July. Natalie Brand, CBS News, the White House.
The child tax credits were expanded under the American Rescue Plan. The credit pays up to $3,600 for kids under age 6 and $3,000 each for kids 6 to 17. But the benefit only applies to those making $75,000 or less if you're single, or $150,000 or less for married couples. The U.S. is keeping land borders closed for another month to stop the spread of COVID-19. According to the Department of Homeland Security, non-essential travel to Canada and Mexico is restricted until at least July 21st. Land and ferry crossings have been shut down since the pandemic began. The U.S.-Canada border has been closed to all tourists since March of 2020. Mexico has allowed Americans to fly into the country. Still ahead, siding with college athletes.
The Supreme Court is backing student athletes over the NCAA with a unanimous ruling on aid. I'm Skyler Henry in Washington with the details on what experts call a watershed moment.
And next in Health Watch, researchers study the impact of COVID-19 on pregnant women and their babies. Topping Health Watch, a new study finds the lingering symptoms of COVID-19 may include both cognitive and behavioral problems. Researchers in Italy also say 1 in 5 patients report post-traumatic stress 2 months after being discharged from the hospital, and 16% show symptoms of depression. A new report says suicide is one of the leading causes of death worldwide, taking more lives each year than HIV, malaria, breast cancer, war, and homicide. The report says more than 700,000 people, or 1 in 100, died by suicide in 2019. The World Health Organization has produced what are being called Live Life guidelines to help countries reduce that rate by a third within 9 years. WHO officials say job loss, financial stress, and social isolation are among the many suicide risk factors that have been triggered by the COVID-19 pandemic. Researchers are studying how COVID-19 impacts pregnant women and their babies. Reporter Danya Bacchus introduces us to a mom who had the coronavirus during a very high-risk pregnancy.
Alicia Shepard was 5 months pregnant with triplets when she tested positive for COVID-19.
Exhaustion and real, very hard shortness of breath, awful hard cough that, it was hard enough I cracked a rib.
With COVID being a new illness, she didn't know what to expect.
What was that like?
My gut just sank with this fear of, I didn't even care about me, but this fear of what will this mean for our kids?
Researchers are learning more about how COVID can affect pregnant women. Alicia took part in a UCLA study looking at nearly 600 pregnant women who tested positive for COVID.
What we've seen so far is generally that patients do well overall. They don't tend to have as much fever, but they do present with cough and very much the similar cold symptoms.
Most pregnant women had mild disease and didn't need to be hospitalized, but a quarter experienced symptoms that lasted 2 months or more. Dr. Rashmi Rao is a maternal fetal medicine physician.
Those that have severe COVID tend to have a little bit of an increased risk of adverse outcomes, and that can be either delivery by C-section, delivery a little bit earlier, so preterm delivery.
After recovering from COVID, Alicia went into labor at 28 weeks. Doctors don't know if COVID caused the early delivery or if it was just the nature of the pregnancy. Her 3 daughters spent more than 2 months in the NICU, but are healthy and thriving.
If my experience of what my family went through with COVID can provide data that's going to help someone else's family, then I'm all in for that.
And they are all in for what's next as a family of 6. Danya Bacchus, CBS News, Los Angeles.
In addition to outcomes, the researchers also studied immunology, finding most mothers who had COVID passed antibodies to their babies. Alicia's babies carried antibodies. Women who suffer from migraines may face a higher risk of complications during and after pregnancy. A study in Israel finds migraine patients are more likely to be diagnosed with gestational diabetes and blood clots. They're also at higher risk for depression both during pregnancy and after giving birth. Among young adults who increased screen time during the pandemic, a study shows a boost in mental distress. Researchers in St. Vincent say more time looking at screens is associated with increased anxiety and that students suffer higher distress than non-students. That is a look at today's top health news. A little later, Amazon kicks off its 2 days of deals with Prime Day.
As advertised, a break from the heat is here. We'll see how long it'll last with the full forecast up next. As advertised, that front came in with a good shot for rain and storms this morning and a chance to finally cool off after several days of early summer heat and humidity. This is what the front did as it rolled on through this morning. A few scattered thunderstorms late evening, yesterday evening, last night, and then more widespread rain and storms. Thankfully, nothing severe as our rain chances plowed on through this morning. Then the rest of the afternoon was just getting the rain chances out of here and thankfully seeing mostly sunny skies start to return. In terms of rain amounts, we didn't expect a lot and most of us didn't see a whole lot. On the average, about half an inch of rain, but you can see some embedded pockets pushing an inch to almost 2 inches of rainfall with some of these heavier downpours of rain that did manage to materialize. But it is nice to see after a wet and stormy start this morning, the radar network completely dry, and boy, did this system make a difference with temperatures. We topped out in the lower to middle 90s yesterday. Midnight highs right around the lower 80s. Then we tanked to about 63 at 7 o'clock this morning, but an impressive rebound to the mid 70s this afternoon. And it's nice to see partly to mostly sunny skies back in action from the east side of Joplin. We are sitting at 76 with a north breeze at 10. And look at that dew point, lower 50s. It's been a while since we've seen numbers like that. That means it is a comfy air mass for sure as you venture out and about this evening, even with temperatures in the mid to upper 70s. This is still running. It's 15 to 20 degrees below where we were yesterday afternoon when we were still sitting in the 90s. Once we get past sunset this evening, though, we'll see quite a drop in temperatures, down to 63 by 10, 61 by midnight. I'm thinking lower to middle 50s for a chilly start for our Tuesday morning. Our storm system that came on through with the storms this morning is packing a bigger punch with severe weather ongoing across parts of the Northeast and upper New England. This is quite a frontal system that stretches all the way back out west, but behind it, we're staying dry with high pressure out west, actually aiding in our chilly night ahead of us. Plus, it is nice still to see this upper level high, the same one that kept us hot and humid last week, well to the southwest of us. And with us on the cooler side of the jet, it is definitely going to feel nice, not only for this evening, but once again as we go into tomorrow. I don't have anything big to show you on the future track. We'll just keep skies mostly clear overnight, but this is what's going to lead to a chilly start in the morning. Overnight lows dropping back to about 54 degrees, a light south breeze in the morning, and that will continue throughout the course of the day. And with drier air in place, that means we'll go to 76 by noon. Afternoon highs in Joplin around 81, but most of us around 80, if not the lower 80s. Below normal, but we'll certainly take it as we go through our Tuesday. Quick look at the jet stream setup. Shows the upper ridge trying to build back in for Wednesday and Thursday with highs trying to push back near 90. But Mother Nature wants to send another storm system our way by Friday and into the weekend. That is going to result in better rain chances. Let me show you what I mean on the 7-day forecast. 81, mostly sunny, nice tomorrow. 85 Wednesday, 91 on Thursday, near 90 on Friday, but that's when the next storm system rolls in. We'll see the better rain chances of that coming on Saturday, and that, Chris, will keep us mainly in the lower middle 80s by the second half of the weekend.
Still not too bad. A nice little rebound back into the summer-like temperatures before it rains and cools us off a bit again.
Yeah, but today, a nice break from the heat that we've seen for far too long last week.
Absolutely. Nick, thank you so much. Well, hey, part of Main Street in Joplin is closed today because of the Great Race. The Great Race is a cross-country old car rally that lasts 1 week and covers thousands of miles. Currently, the cars are at Joplin 44 Petro fueling up. Joplin is the finish line for the third day of the race, which started in San Antonio and will finish up in Greenville, South Carolina. Well, coming up, the Supreme Court rules on a case involving the NCAA. But first, we honor one of our many four-state heroes. Sergeant Waldo Hatler served in the Army during World War I in France and Germany and received the Congressional Medal of Honor. His hometown, Bolivar, Missouri, and we are proud to recognize Sergeant Waldo Hatler, tonight's four-state hero. Topping Consumer Watch, Amazon's Prime Day is now underway. The big two-day sales event runs today and tomorrow. According to Adobe Analytics, 58% of consumers say they plan to shop online during Prime Day. and 31% expect to spend money from their stimulus checks. It's estimated Amazon brought in more than $10 billion in sales during Prime Day last year. The U.S. economy may be bouncing back on a broad scale, but some industries say they need more help. Trade associations representing gyms, the travel industry, and amusement parks are asking for another lifeline from the government. The lobbying groups say they have suffered significant unrecoverable financial losses due in part to social distancing guidelines. The Supreme Court sided 9-0 with former college athletes in a compensation dispute with the NCAA. While the ruling does not decide whether students can be paid, it hints at a bigger debate about amateurism in college sports. Skylar Henry reports from Washington.
The Supreme Court handed a unanimous victory to student athletes Monday, ruling the National Collegiate Athletics Association cannot limit education-related benefits. The bench upheld a lower court ruling that found the restrictions violate antitrust laws. Justice Neil Gorsuch wrote, "Put simply, this suit involves admitted horizontal price fixing in a market where the defendants exercise monopoly control."
It is a watershed ruling.
Nellie Drew is a sports law professor at the University at Buffalo. What does this mean for student athletes moving forward, do you think?
A very different landscape.
The ruling focuses on how schools reimburse players for things such as computers, science equipment, and musical instruments. The NCAA had defended its rules as preserving the amateur nature of college athletics. It noted in a statement, "While today's decision preserves the lower court ruling, it also reaffirms the NCAA's authority to adopt reasonable rules and repeatedly notes that the NCAA remains free to articulate what are and are not truly educational benefits." The ruling does not address pay to play, but Justice Brett Kavanaugh's concurrence suggests there's room for a challenge. It is highly questionable whether the NCAA and its member colleges can justify not paying student athletes a fair share of the revenues on the circular theory that the defining characteristic of college sports is that the colleges do not pay student athletes. The NCAA says it's committed to supporting name, image, and likeness benefits for student athletes, and it's working with Congress to determine a path forward. Skylar Henry, CBS News, Washington.
Name, image, and likeness benefits could allow some student athletes to earn money for things such as sponsorship deals, endorsements, or appearances. The number of people heading to the airport is at its highest level since the pandemic began. Transportation Secretary Administration says it screened more than 2.1 million travelers yesterday. Besides being a pandemic-era high, it marks the highest level since May of 2019. We got a final check of the forecast right after this. CBS Evening News is next. Then on KOAM News at 6, a fire breaks out at a Carterville home. We'll have the latest. Plus, a court trial over Missouri officials' refusal to expand Medicaid is set to begin. And the Better Business Bureau issuing a warning about a vehicle wrap scam. Stay with us for the CBS Evening News and then the KOAM News at 6. Nipsey Hussle and Carrie Fisher will be granted posthumous stars on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. The Hollywood Chamber of Commerce announced the late rapper and late actress are part of the Walk of Fame class of 2022. Hussle was well known in the hip-hop industry when the 33-year-old was killed in a shooting back in 2019. Fisher, who played the iconic Princess Leia in the Star Wars film franchise, was 60 years old when she died after having heart issues on an airplane in 2016. 36 others will receive stars on the Walk of Fame for their work in movies, TV, music, theater, or sports. A considerably better day. You should get a star on the Walk of Fame for this weather today.
No, they got to reserve that for more important people.
I think you're pretty important with what we've got. Nice day, though.
Yeah, this is the important stuff that people need to know, though. We're looking good for the rest of the evening. We'll chill back into the lower to middle 50s tonight, but looking great tomorrow. Mostly sunny, highs near 81, mid-80s again Wednesday. Even when we try to push back near 90 on Thursday, Chris, that's when our next storm system will try to bring some rain chances back into play.
Still looking like a pretty good forecast for the first week of summer here.
Yeah, with those numbers, we'll take it.
All right, Nick, thank you so much. That's our time for now. CBS Evening News is next, and then we'll see you back here at 6. Thanks for making us part of your night.